Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brandon Piper. I am the administrator for the Division of Industry Services within the Department of Safety and Professional Services. Thank you all for joining our fall call. We hope that you take away value out of this call. It's kind of still something we're tweaking and trying to find the best way to do it, but I hope you do get value out of it. Our newsletter, which will be going out tomorrow, is kind of the same thing. We're going to probably find that to be kind of ever expanding with more and more information in it, but we hope you take away some value from that as well. Um, don't want to take up too much time here. I know we're pretty tight, so I will turn it over to our first presenter from Fire Department Safety and Health.
Hi, everybody. I am April Hammond. I'm the section chief for the Fire Prevention and Safety and Health Program at DSPS. I'm not going to take up too much of your time either. I'm going to actually turn it right over to one of our fire prevention coordinators, Gary Peck, to present on a really exciting initiative the program is taking on.
Thank you, April. Good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. I hope everyone's doing well. I am Gary Peck, District 3's Fire Prevention Coordinator. And today we are truly excited to share with all of you that our Fire Prevention, Safety, and Health Program is implementing and offering Craig 1300 as a resource for our Wisconsin fire departments and stakeholders. Our team has established a statewide community risk reduction initiative and strategic plan to provide quality data to our stakeholders throughout the state of Wisconsin to improve local, county-wide community risk reduction efforts and limit civilian and firefighter casualties. Powered by My Sidewalk, Craig 1300, which stands for Community Risk Assessment Insight Generator, is a digital data assistant, a community risk reduction tool that helps make better sense of data through the application of NFPA 1300. NFPA 1300 is the standard on community risk assessment and community risk reduction plan development. Craig 1300 allows users to easily analyze available public data, find impactful community insights faster, and actually share community risk reduction research and proposals with other stakeholders using true eye-popping graphs and charts. For the state of Wisconsin, Craig 1300 will provide all of Wisconsin fire departments and many other local, county, and state organizations a no-cost custom dashboard on our Wisconsin DSPS website, which Craig 1300 includes 5 community risk reduction indicators and enters emergency response data to support our state's public safety programs with data-driven community risk reduction. Our DSPS Fire Prevention, Safety, and Health Program team is currently working with My Sidewalk Development Team in drafting and creating our custom Wisconsin Craig 1300 dashboard. And the great thing is there is opportunity to grow and improve the dashboard once we implement and move forward with this program initiative. And if everything goes well, we have the goal to have our Wisconsin Craig 1300 Community Risk Reduction Dashboard up and running in October, the week of Fire Prevention Week, which is October 7th through the 14th. And truly, we are very excited and happy to share with all of you what our Wisconsin Craig 1300 Community Risk Reduction Dashboard will actually look like. Here's a great example we will now show you, which is the West Virginia Craig State Plus dashboard. Again, this is actually what our dashboard would look like. If you look on the left-hand side, we will have 10 different pages on our dashboard. starts with the welcome page. The welcome page will provide information on the process on how to conduct a community risk assessment. It also provides guidance on how to properly use the dashboard. And then our community page breaks down great data for our state to include total population, employment by occupation, and current housing in the state. And then the social vulnerabilities page breaks down employment, job access, age dependency ratios, disabilities, and educational levels for our state population. And then you see the map that was up there. The map, so our dashboard, our Wisconsin Community Risk Reduction Craig 1300 dashboard will actually be at the county level. So the whole state, you'll have the state map of Wisconsin on there, and it'll be broken down by county. So you'll be able to click on that, and just like it shows right there, it'll break down that data, whatever page that you're on, it'll break down that quality data for that county. And the built environment page breaks down our state's housing and building conditions, hazardous materials, utilities, and transportation in the state. And then our incidents page will provide true quality data about the state's and local counties' past experience and trends in emergency incidents. And it breaks down fire-related calls, EMS-related calls, hazardous conditions, false alarms, and even public service. So if we go to the fire-related calls, and you can see it breaks down incidents per month, trends and timelines, key stats on different types of fires, primary actions taken, and again, it will have the state map and broken down by county. And again, you can click on the county, click on your county, and it'll break down the fire incidents for the year. And it will have at least 3 years of data. And then this chart breaks down the rate per population for fire incidents for the county. As you can see, true quality data. And then the foundational efforts page breaks down the common issues, hazards, and risk, such as falls, cooking fires, and motor vehicle crashes, again, for our state. And the other pages that'll be on our Wisconsin dashboard, it has COVID-19, current data for our state in relation to tracking COVID-19. And again, it'll break down per county as well. And then it also has one of the pages, NFPA 1300 crosswalk. Again, this will provide information and help you to conduct a community risk assessment and develop a successful community risk reduction plan. And then it also has how to use this dashboard. Again, just like the welcome page, it'll break down more information on how to properly use the dashboard, which is actually pretty user-friendly once you get into it. And then additional NFPA community risk reduction resources as well. And then just a glossary of everything that's covered with all the information on the dashboard. And another great resource on the Craig 1300 dashboard is that you can generate a PDF report and file from the information as well that you can utilize for your community risk reduction plan and program. As you can see, this is going to be just an amazing and incredible resource to help our Wisconsin communities be successful in reducing hazards, issues, and risk in their communities. Obviously, there will be a much more details to come out once the dashboard is actually implemented, which again, we're shooting for the goal of October 7th. So please be on the lookout for the additional information of when it's going to be implemented and the information that's going to be on our dashboard, or on our website, I should say. So please be aware of this amazing resource and please use it for your communities. Thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you, Gary. Next up, we have private on-site wastewater treatment program area. Be discussing Septic Safe Week.
All right, it's me again, April, the section chief for the POUTS program. Again, I'm not going to take any time away from our presenter, Matthew Jansen.
Yeah, my name is Matt Jansen, wastewater person for the POUTS program. Wanted to share some of the things that has been going on and some of the things that we plan on with the POUTS program, or the on-site waste program. EPA has, the last several years, this is the 11th one actually, they've focused on the operation of septic systems and safety and do's and don'ts and things like that with septic systems. And so they've encouraged participation in what they call Septic Smart Week. So this happened the third week of September, so it just completed last week. We participated with them by sending out some information through the Gov Delivery email system. We had about somewhere in the neighborhood, a little over 3,000 people that were signed up for notifications through the POUTS program. And we sent emails out basically explaining what Septic Smart Week was, bringing their attention to it. And then each day throughout the week, we did send an attachment that had some helpful tips and other information, sort of like an owner's guide or owner's manual that the industry professionals could share with owners, some do's and don'ts about what to put down your drain and what not to put down your drain. So things that were not so much for the professional themselves to use, but for them to pass on to the general public that are utilizing these systems daily. So it was a good outreach for us. We did sent out a lot of information, had quite a good hit rate on people opening the emails, and then also opening the links that we shared there and sharing that information for Septic Smart Week. So a really good outreach for us. All right, next slide. POUTS Continuing Education, this is something that's been one of the cornerstones of the POUTS program, the on-site waste, is to making sure that we're doing the outreach. Just like we did with Septic Week, we want to make sure that we're getting information out there, and spreading our knowledge to the county staff and also the other credentialed individuals to multiply our ability. We obviously can't talk to there's probably a third of the state's population on septic systems. We obviously can't talk to all of them or reach them, but we can talk to the people that will interact with them, and that's what we're looking at doing. So the link that we have here, bookwen.com /WIPOWTS. It's also on our DSPS website under the POUTS POUTS program, you can get to that. But any of the continuing education opportunities that I'm going to talk about, when they do become available, they will be listed on our POUTS website through the book When is when you can sign up for those. So like a lot of our things, there's no fees for this. A lot of them are done online. We do have some in person, but we have limited availability. I mean, there's only so many connections we can make through the internet and only so many spaces we have out in the real world. So make sure that you're checking that often for continuing education opportunities. So next slide. So some of the things that we do, in-person training is important to us. I know as COVID's come along and we've transitioned more and more to doing stuff online, which is very useful for us, but still it's very useful to do in-person training. One of the things that we do is I don't have it up here yet, but probably next spring we'll be doing some in the field soils training. And obviously, it's really hard to look at soils in a classroom setting or virtually. It's something that's really necessary to do as an in-person training. But coming up, we plan on offering a POUTS inspector refresher. It's mostly for the county staff. We'll probably be doing that probably around the end of January, early February again this year, which is really helpful. Again, we'll probably have another quarterly update, be able to share that information with you as it comes up. But a very good 2-day training session for the county staff in order to train them on things that's important for them to share or for us to share with them. We also plan on going through some plan design, which will not only be for the county folks, but also our submitters, walking them through design process on how to submit or what goes into the designs and looking at the different nuances of that. Next. So one of the other things that we look at is, obviously, I mentioned the online training. We do offer a POUTS chat is what we're calling it, which is every second Tuesday of the month. It's typically at 9 a.m. So we do the POUTS chat, which gives us a monthly opportunity to do outreach to anybody that's interested in the POUTS program, to share updates, things that have come along. We frequently do sort of a frequently asked questions that have come up in the last month that we know some people have had issues with or need help in interpreting the code or understanding what the code says, and we share that with them. We also have guest speakers come in. I believe upcoming here, we plan on having a member of the USDA soil survey come in, the state soil scientist, to come share with us all about soil survey and how to use it and how to interpret it. So we do have, in the past, we've had people from like OSHA come in and talk about trenching, excavation safety. So it's timely information that we can share about the POUTS program. In addition, it's also other experts that are related to what we do, helping provide some of that information. So great opportunity. Again, you can sign up for that, through the book When on a POUTS website. Next. As part of our online training, one of the things that allows us to do is by providing online training, such as our POUTS chat, we can record the video. So once we record it, we're able to post that information on the YouTube channel. DSPS does have a YouTube channel, and we have a backlog of old POUTS chats that we've already recorded. And then also moving forward, we'll be adding those on as we have time, and then you'll be able to access that. So even if you can't attend Tuesday, Tuesday morning for the monthly POUTS chat, you get credit for that if you attend in person, but otherwise, if you still want the content, couldn't attend live, you can still access the YouTube channel and see the content at your leisure or refer to it. Hey, I remember last month we talked about this. I don't remember what it is. Go onto the YouTube channel and you can access that information. Hopefully we'll have additional content to follow. We may be recording some of our other training, maybe some of our soils training sessions, maybe our plan design sessions. So we plan on adding some other things on there. Also, probably looking at next year producing some videos or some content on inspections and things like that. So something else to be, that gets us sort of excited. Another way that we can share education out with the folks and get that information out there for everybody to access. Next. So, I mentioned that, we're doing some county training coming up. We do some private or rather, so the private sector training, with installers and designers, but we also do a lot of collaboration with other groups also. So we do private sector and public sector collaboration. We participate in industry conventions. The county code administrators, which is the county groups that regulate POUTs, they have an annual convention coming up end of October. We'll be participating at that. WALRA, which is the state on-site waste recycling group, they have a convention later on this winter. We'll be participating in that by not only providing training but also attending and answering questions and being present for them to ask us stuff. So that gives us an opportunity again to present information on whatever the topics they so choose, from inspections to design to sort of question and answer or latest topics. Also, we do county updates throughout the year, and as we get into the winter session, POUTS is really related to the weather. It's sort of a summer construction kind of thing. In winter, we're not digging a whole lot of soil. So we do a lot of county updates. Counties or groups of counties will put on updates for their plumbers in their area, and then we'll participate in that, giving sort of the state's version of the update. And also we have private CEU sessions and updates. We have different industry people, some tank manufacturers. We have a product supplier company that does quite a bit of training, and we participate with them in providing, not only updates, but also sometimes some focused training on certain aspects. So again, a lot of these things, we're going to try and post those on our website, or at least links to whoever the outside person may be, so that we can be sort of a one-stop shop for continuing education through the POUTS page, through the POUTS website or DSPS website POUTS section, so that you can find that information and then keep up with the continuing education. Again, very important for us to keep reaching out and doing that. Next. I just wanted to also mention here that the POUTS program does have a couple vacancies, actually 3 of them. District 1 field position, the person that was in there vacated, they went into retirement, and we're working on filling that position now, and 2 plan reviewer positions. Actually, today was the second day of interviews, so unfortunately, we just wrapped up our interview process, so the positions are not open anymore. We're working on filling that. So we've gone through the interview process. Just want to make you aware that district maps may change depending on who we hire and where they're located. But we're going to, so it's a big change for us. It's really going to shape the POUTS program by adding three different people, 1 refill and 2 new plan positions that were granted through the budgetary process. So really looking forward to that, getting some people online, which will hopefully give us more flexibility to do more training and other things, throughout the year, to keep up that high level of education and outreach that we have been doing. But just wanted to bring attention to that. That's sort of what's been going on in the POUTS program, and we hope to continue on with that and have more updates for you in the future.
Thank you, Matt. Next up, we have elevators.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Rausch. I'm the plan reviewer and code consultant for the elevator program. And just want to go through some new publications and updated publications that are on our DSPS elevator webpage. When you go into the elevators and conveyances webpage, you'll see publications as an option. You can click on that. We have, I believe, 26 different publications now that are written to help not just elevator contractors, but architects, engineers, general contractors, building owners. There's quite a bit of information there related to elevators. The 4 that I just want to bring to your attention this afternoon are elevator telephone performance, some updates we made to that document. A new one, placing a commercial conveyance out of service or removing from a building or site. Ventilation requirements for elevator hoistways and machine rooms. Smoke doors and smoke curtains at elevator entrances. These updates and new publications are a result of a lot of questions that we receive from people such as yourselves looking for guidance. And this is a good way to put that information out for everyone for consistency and for ease of use on your part. So we can go to the next slide. The first one to bring up today, two-way voice communication in passenger elevators and vertical platform lifts. This document includes some updates about some new problems we're seeing with old phone systems being replaced by new cellular or voice over internet systems. Those systems can be used, but they have to work as described in this article. The article also describes how licensing applies to working on elevator phones. Licensing is not required to change phone systems in a building that serve the elevator, as long as the performance requirements are met, and those are described in this document. An elevator contractor license and individual license are not required for doing any wiring, or are required, I should say, for doing any wiring inside an elevator car or on top of an elevator car or in an elevator controller. We've had some issues recently with telephone contractors, security contractors, and fire alarm contractors replacing telephones in elevators and installing boosters or repeaters on elevator cars, and they are not allowed to do that work. We see them sometimes advertise that and sell that service. So it's important to know who can and cannot do certain work on your elevator phone system. Next slide, please. A new article that we have on the website is placing elevators or conveyances out of service or removing them from a building or site. We see this a lot in buildings that are where their use is changing. Maybe an existing manufacturing or warehouse facility is going to be used less often, maybe just used for storage. And conveyances, the owner would like to place the conveyance out of service. This document explains when that can occur, what kinds of approvals are needed. And again, kind of like the phone article, it explains the limits of work that can be done by non-elevator licensed companies and people. The article also explains what to do with in-ground hydraulic elevator jacks. Those cannot be abandoned in place. There are DNR requirements for remediation of soil and for removing hydraulic jacks and filling the hole. So that's explained in detail in this article. Next, please. Another common question we have is regarding ventilation requirements for elevator hoistways and machine rooms. There are basically 5 different types of elevator systems that are being installed now, depending on whether the elevator is a traction or hydraulic, whether or not it has a machine room, and some other variations. So this article describes them, the different ventilation requirements for each based on heat gain and production of oil odors that might occur with a hydraulic elevator. Some heating or cooling or exhaust can vary quite a bit from one type to another. Some needs to leave the building, some can be recirculated within the building. So this goes into detail about that. This also explains how ventilation systems are related to standby power, headroom clearances in elevator spaces, describes fire dampers in ducts that penetrate fire-rated walls and ceilings, and things like that. Next slide, please. And then the last new one anyway, is a new one regarding smoke doors and smoke curtains at elevator entrances. The elevator code doesn't require smoke doors or smoke curtains. That comes strictly from the building code. So the article cannot help with where those devices are required. That's something that the building code, building plan reviewer, building inspector would have to help with. But the article does point out some very important requirements for smoke doors and smoke curtains at elevator entrances. Probably the most important one we find is not compliant is we see a lot of solid smoke doors at elevator entrances, and there's a requirement in the elevator code, not in the building code, but in the elevator code, that a firefighter needs to be able to open the elevator hoistway door only 1/4 of its travel, and they have to be able to see through that smoke door. So there's a requirement, and it's described here in detail, for where a vision panel would need to be located in a solid smoke door at an elevator hoistway entrance. The elevator code also does not go into how these are controlled. That's another item that was in the elevator code. It is in the National Elevator Standard, but in Wisconsin, we've written that out of the elevator portion, and that the control of smoke doors and smoke curtains is entirely up to the building code. These are not tested by the elevator inspector. They're not tested in the presence of the elevator inspector, but the elevator inspector is looking for certain features such as the vision panel. Smoke doors and curtains cannot interfere with the operation of the elevator. The view of hall call buttons or direction lanterns, the up and down arrows you see at elevator landings. And there are other criteria in this article. So I'd encourage you to use the elevator program page, web page. There's a lot of good information there on elevator inspection districts, contact information for inspectors, Kim Schmidt, the program supervisor, or myself, the plan reviewer. There are test forms, inspection checklists available, frequently asked questions, as well as these publications. So I'd encourage you to take a look at those if you're involved in any of that work. As I mentioned, there are 26 of them, I believe. So if you have questions about fire sprinklers related to elevators, getting new elevator products approved, information for building owners, there's a safety alert document for residential type elevators there. So I would encourage you to explore the elevator webpage, and you may find some very helpful information there. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Next up, we have commercial building plan review.
Hi,
You
I'm
go ahead.
Jennifer.
Oh, go ahead, Jen.
I'm Jennifer Zettler. I'm a commercial building plan reviewer. I will be speaking with you today about CommCheck. I've given a presentation on CommCheck at the last 3 UW code refreshers. So this presentation will be kind of the highlights of those, some key areas about CommCheck and ResCheck. To start off, the Department of Energy is the host of these softwares, CommCheck and ResCheck. They're both available online at the energycodes.gov website you see there. Basically, each program serves as a performance compliance option. If you're going through the International Energy Code, it would be a performance option versus a prescriptive option. With a prescriptive option, you must meet every single aspect of that prescriptive code. The performance option allows you to have a UA trade-off, which would be the U factor times the area. And the software will determine whether or not you pass. It makes it a lot easier than other options to kind of provide that trade-off. From their website, Department of Energy states that ComCheck simplifies and clarifies energy code compliance with the IECC and with ASHRAE Standard 90.1. The website also states that ResCheck simplifies residential energy code compliance by automating trade-offs for the IECC. And then the report at the end, like any other calculation to submit for plan review, would be required to be signed and sealed by the architect or professional engineer preparing it, assuming that the building is over 50,000 cubic feet. So the biggest question is, do you need to provide ComCheck or ResCheck? And it's a pretty clear line down the middle, but it's not always easy to determine. If there's no residential, it will automatically be ComCheck. If there is residential and something else, say business or mercantile or something like that, and it is equal to or under 3 stories, you would use ResCheck. If it's only residential and equal to or under 3 stories, you'd also use ResCheck. If it's over 3 stories, you would always use ComCheck. And an R1 always uses ComCheck. An example of an R1 is a hotel. Please note that when we're talking about this ResCheck and everything here, it does not apply if the residential in question is covered under the Uniform Dwelling Code. So where in the code does it say this? This would be in the Wisconsin amendments to the IECC. For ComCheck, it states it in 363.0407, parent 3. And it states ComCheck is a computer program that may be used for science. And it tells you that you need to use either the 2015 IECC or ASHRAE 90.1 2013. One benefit to using ASHRAE is you have an option for a semi-heated building, which is less than 20 BTU per hour per square foot. And please note it might require commissioning. For ResCheck, it's under SPS 363.5405. It's kind of the same situation that I just described. ResCheck is used for demonstrating compliance in a residential building, no more than 3 stories. And you would use the 2015 IECC for that compliance method. One note here is our Wisconsin amendments always refer to the international code that they relate to. In this case, though, the IECC document is split between C for commercial and R for residential. To accommodate that in a numbering system, Wisconsin uses 363.0 to refer to the commercial or C portion of IECC and 363.5 to refer to the residential or R version of the IECC. We do have some people mistaking a provision for allowing use of the 2009 tables. And they tried to do this with ComCheck, and that does not work for our commercial building code compliance. I've cited all the codes that kind of relate to this. I won't read all the code language here, but essentially the 2009 tables are permitted to be used for opaque assemblies in lieu of the 2015 tables for prescriptive method only. The prescriptive method still requires the 2015 IECC requirements for fenestration. Fenestration being your windows, your glazed doors, or your skylights. Since it is split, there's no way to split a ComCheck between walls are under 2009, but windows are under 2015. So the code has it written that ComCheck must be used to the 2015 IECC if going with IECC to demonstrate compliance. The confusion with ResCheck is that the Uniform Dwelling Code for 1 and 2 family dwellings is currently set to the 2009 IECC. But for commercial buildings, which is a 3 tenants or more situation, we would be using the commercial building code. So that's an important thing to note for those that may be doing houses as well as small commercial buildings. Just be sure that you're aware of which code you're being enforced under. So to elaborate on that, is it UDC or a commercial building, or is it both? If you have 3 tenants of any sort, the whole thing is a commercial building. If you have 2 apartments, say a duplex side by side, up and down, front and back, the whole thing is under the Uniform Dwelling Code. If you have a single apartment and a single commercial tenant of any sort, UDC would apply to the apartment or residential dwelling, and the commercial building code would apply to the non-residential tenant. In this case, you are allowed to use ComCheck for the entire building envelope. And the reason for that is our current adoption of ComCheck for commercial buildings is more stringent than the 2009 IECC for ResCheck for 1 or 2 family for a UDC. In each of the softwares, you have a number of tabs to go through. Your first tab will be kind of your basics of project setup. You will need to identify the code that you're utilizing. For ComCheck, that would be the 2015 IECC or ASHRAE 90.1 2013. For ResCheck, you only have the option of the 2015 IECC. For either program, you'll need to identify if it's new construction, an addition, or an alteration. ComCheck will ask for compliance. Both programs will ask for building area and a description for each type. They will ask for space conditioning. ComCheck will ask for non-residential, residential, or semi-heated. Semi-heated is not really an intuitive place for this, so please note that that's where that semi-heated option would be selected. For ResCheck, it gives you an option for multifamily or 1 or 2 family, which does not apply because that would be considered UDC and not a commercial building. ComCheck identifies a roof, where ResCheck calls it a ceiling. It's basically the same kind of assembly, and if you have skylights, you would link the skylight to that assembly. Similarly, with your exterior walls, the windows and doors within each exterior wall would be linked to that exterior wall. ComCheck gives you the option for a semi-heated building, which allows you to use an interior wall as well. And so those windows and doors would be linked to that interior wall. Both options will have a basement or floor. Even if you are not providing insulation at your basement or floor, say a slab on grade for storage building, for a small storage building, that might be a good example. You do still need to provide that input, even if there's no insulation, for the program to function properly. We are looking for the assembly value of windows, doors, overhead doors, things of that nature. The assembly value is based in accordance with the NFRC 100 testing data. The common problem that we see designers make is they find an R value provided by the overhead door manufacturer who love to promote their high R values. The high R value that they're promoting is most often the infinite panel value and not the assembly. Sometimes it's difficult or impossible to find that assembly value. So as reviewers, we've come to the conclusion that the R value of the panel is generally approximately 40% of the assembly So if you take 40% of that high R value and input it, it would generally be accepted. Please note that for your plan reviewer. Additions to projects add exterior envelope to the building. When you are doing ComCheck or ResCheck for an addition, you would input only those elements to be added. The program already knows what you're doing because you've selected addition, so it can properly formulate your compliance. Similarly, alterations change or replace building envelope components, or they could convert unconditioned or semi-heated spaces to fully conditioned space. Same with additions, you would just input those elements to be altered. You do not have to input all the data for the existing building that will remain unchanged. So these are the highlights of my ComCheck presentations. I will also provide this information to be included in the newsletter. And if you have any questions, look to that newsletter for that data and also for contact information for our building tech. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Next up, we have commercial building and ski lift inspections.
Hello, my name is Lucas Dedrick. I'm a section chief for DIS that oversees the commercial building inspection, public sector safety, ski lifts and tows, amusement rides, as well as the tattoo and body art programs. Today, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about commercial building inspections, as well as briefly discuss the ski lift and tows. What stages of construction need to be inspected during a commercial building project? Footing foundations need to be inspected. This needs to be done prior to the concrete being poured and after rebar has been tied. A lot of times inspection staff will get called out to do an inspection and the concrete's already been in place for a week. Pretty hard to do the inspection at that point. Rough framing, this needs to be done prior to insulation or drywall being placed. This would include steel stud work. HVAC, this would include any above ceiling HVAC components, including fire and smoke dampers. So if you have any of those types of situations, please reach out and have those inspected as well. Fire suppression, fire alarm systems need to be inspected. Insulation needs to be inspected. And there needs to be a final inspection done on the project when everything's complete. Make sure all reports are included as well as temperature and balance, fire and fire alarm suppression reports, as well as all compliance statements. A note to supervising professionals, if the HVAC system for these projects was submitted independently of the building itself, an independent compliance statement will need to be submitted for the HVAC project to get that completed as well. Next slide, please. Who's doing the inspections for you? The department has municipalities throughout the state who have been given delegation to do commercial building inspection code enforcement on behalf of the department. So if the construction being done is in a municipality delegated by the department to perform the commercial building inspections, the local delegated inspector would be your authority having jurisdiction. If the construction being done is not in a municipality delegated by DS to perform these inspections, please contact your DSPS inspector. A note on that, any UW or state-owned projects, as well as any water slide projects, even if in a delegated community, those are required to be done by a DSPS inspector, and the DSPS inspector would be the authority having jurisdiction on those. So for example, the village of Lake Delton is a delegated community, but any water slides that go in at Noah's Ark are under DSPS's jurisdiction and would be handled by the inspector for that territory. So please keep that in mind. Next, I will show you how to determine if your project is in a delegated municipality and where you should and who you should call if that's the case. From the DSPS homepage, you'll want to expand the program's website and click on the delegated agent. Next slide, please. Next, on the right-hand side of the page, you'll want to select the commercial structural HVAC fire suppression fire alarm inspection that's highlighted in green. This will take you to the municipalities with commercial building inspection delegated list. The section highlighted in red shows the levels of delegation that a municipality can be granted. For this example, we will use Marshfield as an example. Next slide, please. From the top, you'll want to scroll down till you see the city of Marshfield here. Municipalities are grouped by cities, towns, and villages, and then are also put in alphabetical order based on what type of municipality they are. Once you have found Marshfield on the list, you will see that they have a delegation authority of 2. You'll want to reference the levels of the delegation at the top of the list to ensure that your project falls within the municipality's delegated authority. If it does fall within their authority, you'll want to use the contact info for the City of Marshfield inspector. In this case, it would be Pat Kilty, to set up your inspection. Like you say, for them, they have a delegated authority number 2, which gives them authority to inspect all size commercial buildings. So like you say, that would be your inspector. Next slide, please. If your project is not in a municipality that is delegated to do inspections on behalf of the department, you will want to contact your DSPS inspector. To find their contact information, you'll want to expand the programs list again and select the delegated agents. Next. From there, you'll want to scroll about halfway down the page and look for your DSPS district maps for non-delegated municipalities and select the commercial building inspection district map that's highlighted in green there. From there, this will bring up the commercial building inspection district map for the entire state. You'll want to find whatever county your project in and contact the corresponding inspector for that district. You'll notice 2 districts are open right now, and I've got coverage from other inspectors in that area. If for any reason you have a tough time getting hold of an inspector, feel free to reach out to me and I'll get you in touch and get you moving in the right direction, please. Next page, next slide, please. Changing gears here a little bit. This is for supervising professionals. Want to let you guys, ladies, know that compliance statements, the partial compliance statements, are now available online in the ESLA system for projects. So for example, if you have a project, you have a project with 4 apartment buildings, we're all submitted at the same time through the same plan approval, and the first 2 apartment buildings are complete and you'd like occupancy on them, the supervising professional now has the ability to go into the ESLA system, submit a service request that shows partial compliance on this project. That way they can get occupancy on the first 2 buildings while the second 2 are still being built. These are submitted the same way that a standard compliance statement is through the service request tab. If anybody has any help or needs any help submitting anything like that, go to the ESLA resources page that I've got listed there, please. Next slide. We do have 2 open commercial building positions right now. I've got positions that are currently being advertised in the counties below on the website. Once a candidate has been hired, the territories will be assigned based on geographic location of the qualified candidate. If you know anybody looking to get into the commercial building inspection world, please send them my way. And if you have any questions on the open positions, feel free to reach out to me, please. Next slide. All right, I'd like to talk to you just briefly about skis and tows. It is ski season coming up here real quickly. Just a reminder that any new construction, installation, or relocation of any type of passenger ropeway needs to be submitted to the department prior to construction for review and approval. This does include any type of rope tows as well as magic carpet conveyors that are installed on the ski hills. Also, any acceptance tests that are done, these need to be done by the department, by DSPS. These cannot be done by a third-party inspector, and the department does need to be notified of these at least 5 days prior to the passenger ropeway inspection. Keep in mind, like you say, it doesn't matter where you are. If you have a third-party inspector, these acceptance tests have to be done by DSPS. Also, keep in mind that periodic inspections have to be done every year on your passenger ropeways. If done by a third-party inspector, those reports have to be submitted to DSPS within 30 days if there are no violations. Next slide, please. If you need to contact anybody about a ski lift or passenger ropeway or have any questions, you can go to the DSPS website, and again, from the programs, expand that down and click on the A to Z program list. Scroll down to the bottom of the page and click on ski lifts. And from here, you'll see on the right-hand side highlighted in green the inspection district map. And this has all the inspectors for the department on here, as well as including the territories they cover. It also shows a tech box in the bottom if you have a general question that you want to ask. Tech box is another good place to send those questions to. This also includes my information. So like I say, if anybody has any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I want to thank you for your time. That's all I have for you today. I appreciate your time and I'll turn it over to Kurt.
Thank you, Lucas. Similar to Lucas, I'm the section chief for the commercial electric plant, fire alarm, fire suppression, and UDC programs. Next slide, Etta. So similar to Lucas, we had a lot of questions in the commercial electrical area of who do we still contact. March 1st of 2023, we transitioned to third-party agents for permitting and inspection services throughout the state for commercial electric. So this page can be found on our DSPS website by going in the programs tab, going to the A to Z list, and then going down to electrical and lighting. You'll get to this page and you'll look on the right side, and there's three different areas I've got highlighted, one in blue, green, and red. One is the consultant district map. This is not for permitting and inspections. However, it's for answering questions and technical questions. The permitting inspection map is for our third-party agents and for non-delegated communities. And then obviously the red area is a list of delegated municipalities and their contact information for permitting and inspections. Next slide, please. Again, as of March 1st, 2023, we transitioned to all third-party agents throughout the state doing permitting and inspections in non-delegated agents. Obviously, we still have our state consultant mapping, and you can find that at that location or web page. Next page. We currently have two consultants throughout the state. We have one vacant area, so this may change in the near future if we do fill that vacancy. And again, the DSPS Electric Tech web page or tech box is a resource for any technical questions or code questions you may have. Next slide. So the next one is the commercial electric permitting and inspection services. This is an area where you can look up who is actually assigned to that county for a third-party agent for permitting and inspection services. Keep in mind the inspection fees differ from county to county, so please check and confirm with those agents for that particular county you'll be working in. Next slide. This is the most up-to-date map that we have out that can be found on that website by clicking on that link. As you can see, we have 5 different delegated or third-party agents throughout the state. And then we do have the red area is the county is delegated. So you'll be having to contact the county itself to see who the representative in the agency, the inspector is in permitting. Next slide. Again, you can click on the delegated municipalities, kind of Lucas went through. The delegated agencies or delegated municipalities, they exercise their own permitting and inspection permits through the municipality. All the other ones, all non-delegated municipalities, you'll have to be utilizing the state ESLA website to put your permit in through. Next slide. And again, as Lucas went through, you can see a list of delegated municipalities, starting with cities, towns, and then villages, and then who the inspector would be to contact would be on the far right. Next slide. Got a couple minutes left here. I just want to quickly go through a fire alarm, fire suppression, plan review, frequently, or how to help reduce the time for plan review times. Some frequent questions are how to, next slide. Plan review submissions delays have consequences. Delays increase communication and timelines of projects. Delays are caused by a variety of items which can affect everyone that's involved, from the submitter, the contractor, inspector, reviewer, and the owner. Next slide. These are some of the frequent submissions and mistakes and items that are forgot that cause delays on fire alarm, fire suppression plan reviews. This list will be provided in the newsletter coming out as well. But just going through the list, as you can see, some missing and properly signed third-party signatures, incorrect site IDs and addresses for municipalities, missing parent permits, missing unsigned checklists, missing improper signed and stamped plans, missing equipment cut sheets, missing incorrect battery calcs, voltage drops, and hydraulic calcs, missing room identifications and occupancies on plans, missing improper sequence of operations, missing full height cross sections on plans, just to name a few items that these are commonly mistakes, and these do cause additional information or delays in getting the plan reviews done and back out to the submitters. Again, there's several websites on our DSPF website, or links on our DSPF website to help you get this information and to reduce delays in your plan review and submissions. Next slide. Like to point out on our website, on the program, on the drop down on the programs, the A to Z list, you can look at fire suppression, fire alarm systems. There's two areas I'd like to point out. The plan review drop down gives you a list of plan review items and checklists that are required for your submissions. And then submission helps and topics are under publications. Next slide. And again, we have some additional fire alarm, fire suppression plan review resources that are utilizing tools for you guys as for submitters out there to submit and help reduce the timeline your plan reviews are being reviewed and turnaround time. Next slide. I believe that's it, Eva. I'll turn it back over to Brandon.
Okay, thank you, Kurt. Looks like we have come to the end of our presentations. I want to thank you all for joining us for our fall webinar. Again, I hope you got value from this, you take something away from it. All the presenters today kind of pulled this together based on questions that they've received from the industries that they oversee. So if you have suggestions, please feel free to reach out to those individual program area tech boxes and, offer any constructive criticism or any suggestions that you might have to help us improve this call. This is really done for everybody who's listening. So we want to make it as good as we possibly can and give you the most value. So thank you again. Look forward to tomorrow. We'll be sending out our newsletter that goes along with this. And hope everybody has a good day.